f of x is equal to 3 sine squared 5x minus 2 secant cubed 7x. Okay, the secret here is to write these pairs of x in a different way. So we're rewriting this. Okay, this is just a rewrite. I'm not trying to differentiate yet. Okay, so we have f of x is going to be equal to 3 sine squared 5x. That means sine of 5x squared. So we write it that way. And then this is minus 2. And secant cubed 7x means secant of 7x cubed. Okay. Now it becomes a little bit more manageable. We're going to differentiate now. So if we differentiate f of x, we get f prime of x. And now what we've turned these into is powers and parentheses. And the power is 2, so we differentiate the power first. So multiply down by the power. 2 3s are 6. Keep the inside the same. 6 times the sine of 5x. So we keep the inside the same. And now we have to differentiate what was inside. So if we differentiate sine, we get cosine. And we keep 5x. The argument stays the same. And then we have to multiply by the derivative of 5. So in effect what we're doing is we're using the chain rule a number of times there. And then we have, move on to the next term, it's negative 2 times the secant of 7x cubed. So multiply down by the power. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. You keep the inside the same. So secant of 7x and reduce the power by 1 is squared. And then you multiply by the derivative of what was inside. So we had secant 7x inside. The derivative of secant is secant tangent. So it's going to be secant 7x times tangent 7x. And then we multiply by the derivative of the 7x, which is 7. Okay. Okay, now to see what we've done, the 6 came from differentiating the power, multiplying down by the power. The sine of 5x, we just keep that. Okay, that just stays exactly the same. And then we get the cosine of 5x comes from sine. And the 5 came from differentiating the 5x. Similarly, over here, a couple more steps. The 6 times secant 7x squared comes from multiplying down by the power and then reducing the power by 1. And we keep the secant 7x as it is. Following that, you're going to differentiate secant, and differentiating secant gives you secant tangent. Secant 7x tangent 7x. And then finally, the 7x itself, we differentiate the 7x, and that gave us 7. So you differentiate every part. And that, in those cases, there are actually 3 or 4 iterations of the chain rule. So hopefully it follows. And then we'll just tidy it up finally to finish off, and you get f prime of x is equal to, okay, we've got 6 times that 5, that's 30. Sine of 5x, cosine of 5x. And then here we have negative 6 by 7 is negative 42. We have secant 7x squared by secant 7x, that's secant 7x cubed, or secant cubed 7x times tan 7x. Okay, so it's a little bit tidier at the end, but it's still much of a mess. Okay. Go through that very, very slowly on your own, and go through it a couple of times probably until you're in charge of all of it.